about my background. So I ran the UK end of the Age Tech Accelerator for 5 or 6 years. It finished completing all its objectives. In fact, it blew its objectives out of the water at the end of last year, having spent €4 million of public money, but we feel it was money well spent because we tripled the outputs that we were actually originally asked to do by the EU. And as part of the project, and as a consequence, they hold us up as a fantastic example of collaboration. So the Age Tech Accelerator programme was a 4-country programme, UK, France, Belgium and Netherlands, and we had 11 organisations working together. Care home groups, local authorities, research institutes, entrepreneurs and innovators, but crucially we had panels of older people of many different types and their families that helped us co-create, validate, pilot and test these products, and then I work with the businesses to help them find customers and distribution channels and onward investment. And then interestingly, though we were supposed to share the number of kind of slots on the Age Tech Accelerator programme equally among the countries, the UK was by far and away the most innovative and dynamic kind of country, and in fact the number of businesses we put through the programme was more than the other 3 countries put together. But it was a success actually because we all really had common values. Talking about common values, we actually developed proper relationships with each other, even though we were in different countries. We were in very many different organisations with very different motivations, very different business models, etc. But we had common values and a real desire to build a relationship, and there was no massive egos in the group either. So we actually managed to work together really successfully. So that finished at the end of last year. I set up an organisation called Age Tech Intelligence, which is building on that work, and I also do some work for Warwick Business School, which is where I did my MBA and my PhD, Cambridge Judge Business School, and I'm just attending yesterday, just writing a new exec education course for King's College London on the business of healthy ageing. So I'm not an expert in the care sector, though I work with a lot of care home groups. And local authorities, so I have a little bit of knowledge, probably more than a little bit. Nor am I an expert in relational care, but I've built up huge knowledge of the products and services that are going to support us as we get older. And I've built those into a database with products, really cutting edge and innovative products from around the world. Products, services, philosophies, ways of doing things. But there's no shortage of goods and services out there for us getting older. In some parts of the market there's an oversupply in actual fact, but trying to find the ones that really work, that can provide the evidence that they work, that do lots of things, that do the things we want to do, is actually quite difficult. Now I'm not going to cover ground I covered in the chapter of Jenny's book, because there's 40 products in there that I go into some detail about in terms of descriptions. There's web links to them all if you want to find out. So if you want a really good kind of overview of what's happening in the age tech and healthy ageing market, you can read that chapter. What I wanted to do today really is show you some examples, thinking about relational care, show you a few short films that I think look at technology in different ways, because as you see here, it's called Technology Friend or Foe. That's what the chapter in the book is called. So I'm really interested in whether you think these technologies that we're going to see are friend or foe. They're only quite short. The first one's 5 minutes, and it just sort of sets the scene. They're all quite, first and last one are quite humorous in their own way. And then I'll just tell you a little bit about the products themselves in between them. So this is called Uninvited Guests.
Another shipping forecast issued by Met Office at 2243 on Saturday the 18th. There are warnings of gales in all areas except Trafalgar. The general synopsis at 1800, Iceland 960, drifting slowly east and filling. Low 250 miles northeast of the Faroes 9540 by 1800 Sunday. High Trafalgar 1033, slow moving with little change. The area forecast for the next 24 hours. Viking north and south Utsira 40.
Is it Chinese? Is it Japanese? James thinks it's Chinese.
This little vase is Japanese, and there are
How could you tell?
Well, there are several things that we look at. If we first look at the little band that encircles the neck.
Seriously, that? Do you know? I've never heard.
They say 150 pounds, 150. Any advance in 50. Any advance in 50. 80, 90 pounds. Any advance in 90 pounds. All done at 90.
29% swing.
We are seeing the entire shape of British politics changing before our eyes.
Look at that. It is right up. It's almost breaking our swingometer.
Horrifying column that for the Lib Dems, down 27%.
Viking, northwest 5 or 6. Wintry showers, good, occasionally poor. North at Sierra, south at Sierra, east 40s. Variable 4, becoming southeasterly 5 or 6. West 40s, Cromarty, Forth, Tyne, West Dogger.
Noel Wiley, no red line for you as your high scores, but let's see, Noel Wiley, is it right? How many people say?
Serving the captive all on here, 254.
No, I think you probably will. I mean, it comes down. I tell you what, you've got several years of Sundays.
Okay.
I can heartily recommend.
To do the pointless thing of making up names. And that stacks the odds against me.
Yeah, I'm thinking Brown's
Now in winter, the sharks are focusing all their attention on the offshore islands, full of young seals. By watching how the sharks hunt here, Alison has learnt what time of day an attack is most likely.
Here is the general synopsis at 0700 GMT. Cow in sea area Shannon, moving slowly eastwards and filling. Sorry, that should be low in sea area Shannon. And now the area reports. Viking, north of Sierra, south of Sierra, rain at times, good. Westerly becoming cyclonic, good. Humber, Thames, Bedford, Leyland, Daff, Dover, Seoul, Hake, rain at times, good. White, Portland, Plymouth.
Now, subway systems from around the world. Will you either tell us in which city it's systems, please? Best of luck.
Okay, let's reveal our 5 subway systems, and here they come. We have got that made you think Paris. New York City from Andy and Julian. 50. David and Rachel are going to say. Is it going to be 15 though? Down to that 7. Very well done indeed.
Two good answers there. I think maybe this is so many films and what have you, isn't it? Now, A is London.
Shink of light getting inside the telescope. The astronauts had to get the latch to lock.
If you copy, Jeff's just working, putting the doors back together and thinks he needs to close the gap. And we're going to press on. If you've got a way to do it, do it.
Trap and a ratchet. Floating Story Musgrave improvised a solution. It was a success. The astronauts were elated.
Yeah, so good technologies can be bad in the wrong hands, and poorly designed technologies can still be helpful or have a good impact in the right hands. But that's a really good example of what we think people want isn't necessarily always what they want. And in that particular video, to me, it's saying, you know, we say smart tech is the answer, but the question is, well, the answer for what? For who? Who does this fit? Because it clearly isn't fitting the person in question. Now, there's nothing wrong with the principle of the innovations. You know, to be able to track our nutrition, to be able to track our activity, to make sure we've got a good night's sleep. But the way the technology is applied does not always work with the person for whom it is designed. So the next one I'm going to talk about is trying to kind of tie this more back into the kind of relational care, is looking at how we can connect into the present by using the past. And someone was talking yesterday about it's important not always, particularly for people with cognitive decline, to keep pulling them back into the past, and that's absolutely true. But sometimes it actually really works by taking things that happen in the past, common kind of interests, common memories, and actually bringing those back into the present. So this is a small organisation that's only been set up for a few years. They've won a number of competitions, but they have made from scratch a number of 360-degree films drawing on really key moments in the past. And that is, one of those is the coronation of the Queen in 1953, the 1966 World Cup, etc. And it uses a smartphone with a cardboard box, you'll see it, that turns it into a virtual reality. And that, again, the smartphone isn't unique, is it? It's been around for years, and we've seen how it can be converted into virtual reality, but this has taken it a step further and produced a product that really seems to enable and start communication, start conversations, and gets people talking sometimes for the first time for a very long time.
This next topic is a serious one, but we hope you'll find it uplifting too. There's a project designed to help people with dementia to relive lost memories using immersive video.
A virtual reality reenactment of life in 1953, using modern technology to go back in time in the hope that it triggers a distant memory.
They suddenly feel that they're there and they can understand where they are, they can understand the time and day.
Or by actually watching a way back film, you can be there in a second, that feeling of, wow, I lived this, I was there, I wore that dress.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Way Back is a series of virtual reality films to help people living with dementia relive moments from their past and to really feel the happy emotions connected with them. In the pilot episode, viewers are transported back to a Queen's Coronation Street party, just like the thousands that took place across Britain in the summer of 1953. Filmmakers faithfully recreated the day in stunning 360 degrees with immersive detail, painstakingly accurate from the fashion to the food, right down to the conversations.
Very good. That's amazing. That was absolutely marvellous. Are you a princess? Hello. Got a big smile.
I was in the Navy. Chasing the girls about.
Well, it isn't very often you can go into the past like that, is it?
There's a lot of happy memories there. The feeling of being back in the old times.
I think that's fabulous what you're doing.
Makes me feel good. But weepy.
There's a bit of canoodling going on there.
This film and the rest in the series will bring back feelings from a moment in time and will trigger more happy memories for people living with dementia, creating more meaningful conversations and connections with their loved ones and carers.
They were taken somewhere very different, and it obviously brought up really good memories, and obviously from then people start reminiscing and talking and sharing stories, and we rambled on forever well after we put these things down.
It's marvellous. Absolutely marvellous.
Every time I hear a newborn baby cry, or touch a leaf, or see the sky, then I know why I believe.
What a lovely voice.
Thank you. I've always liked singing. Me, it took me way back.
Yeah, it took me way back too.
That's made me feel slightly weepy. I don't know if that's because of my mum or what happened, but yeah, interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, these things aren't always straightforward, because sometimes triggering memories brings back other memories that people might not want to remember. But in the main, this has something good at its heart, and it does seem to reach into, you know, the recesses sometimes of people's minds. It gets people talking, and it's easy and it's cheap. The films aren't cheap to make, but the smartphone, most people have them in the box. Okay, so next one. Has anyone heard of this project? Anyone seen it before? No, okay, so it's not. Okay. So now I'm going to talk about how to connect into the present to strengthen the future, and again, thinking and relating this to relational care. This is a company actually that was involved in the Age Tech Accelerator programme, the EU funding project I mentioned. They're a very progressive care home group in the Netherlands. They're based not far outside Eindhoven in the south of the Netherlands. They started working about 5 years on this concept that, or this idea that actually people with dementia, not everybody, but certain types of dementia, can relearn old skills and can relearn new knowledge. And what they wanted to do was reverse the idea of when somebody starts to have problems with their memory, to lose that independence, that we should keeping them safe was keeping them inside, keeping them locked in, putting barriers in their way. Well, they completely turned that on their head and came up with this way of using technology, of allowing people to have as much freedom as their particular, on a day-by-day basis actually, as their particular level of the illness allowed. It's very much a community project. In fact, we were talking with Millennium about this, about how we could look at applying this idea into the UK, and it'd be interesting to see if that's possible. But the one they're doing in the Netherlands, it's in quite a small kind of town. The whole community is involved, the local authority is involved, charities, local shop owners, etc. They've built something that feels like a village. People live in houses that are reminiscent of kind of traditional modern Dutch homes. They live with what they think of their extended family. But then on site, there are lots of other things that you might expect to get in a village. There's a laundry, there's a shop, there's a really lovely restaurant, and I'll show you that in a minute. And residents are encouraged to volunteer. And again, based on a daily assessment of where they are, because dementia, as we know, some types of dementia really oscillate from day to day, then the degree of freedom that they have is applied, I suppose. So it's based in a really lovely place in the Netherlands, as you can see there. It's on two levels with lots of walkways to keep everything connected, lots of spaces to bring the community into the facility. And that's a really key thing about this concept, is the community is very much bought into the whole concept. But what's so nice about it is they also have a beautiful restaurant that is has got a really good team of chefs, and it's open to the village, and the village actively use it. The school children come and have lunch there. The residents, if they don't want to eat in their house and they have a kitchen, can come to the restaurant and get their lunch. It's a real community hub that makes everybody feel that they're just part of this kind of extended family. And this is how they do it. They use a wearable that connects to either Bluetooth or GPS and has different degrees of geo-fencing. And the interesting thing about this is that every single person on the site, unless they're a visitor, wears this bracelet. So it's part of getting up, it's part of getting dressed, it's part of your whole kind of morning routine. So right from the residents, through the carers, through the gardeners, right up to the chief exec wears one of these bracelets. So that idea of stigma, that idea of someone being kind of singled out because they're wearing something different has been entirely taken away. So the little video we're going to see now is in Dutch, but you'll get the idea, and it just shows you the degree of freedom that people have, because not only can they go out of their house and go into the community areas, but go into the shop, go into the restaurant, go into the extended gardens, but they can go right into the town if their day is a good day. But there are some safety aspects to this, as you would accept.
Ik luister heel graag muziek, klassiek, opera, gezellige jazz en het leven gaat als sfeer. Nou, dat bandje dat brengt mij op de juiste plaatsen waar ik moet zijn. Opent de deur die voor mij open kan gaan. Dat is ook geruststellend. Dat je weet, ja, ik ben met mijn eigen locatie en daar komt niemand anders in die daar niet thuis hoort. Ik loop graag, echt de benen strekken. Even wat anders doen dan binnen zitten. En ja, ik hoop dat nog heel lang vol te houden. Als de zon schijnt, vind ik fijn. Dus voor mij schijnt de zon eerder dan dat het regent. Ja, het is wel eens voorgevallen dat ik niet meer weet, hoi, waar ben ik nou? En dat is zeer onaangenaam om dat te moeten beleven.
Nee, maar het is wel een beetje koud. Ja, en dan is het zeer rustig. Ja.
Ja, dan kan ik met dit bandje weer wel thuiskomen.
Mevrouw Koeren, hallo.
Hallo.
Goedemorgen. Gaat u even koffie drinken bij mij?
Alsjeblieft.
Ja? Kom maar
binnen.
verder. Ja, hartstikke goed.
Dan is er een zuster, die komt mij ophalen en die brengt me dan weer veilig waar ik thuis ben.
Doen ze bij ons snel.
Oh, goedemorgen.
Hallo. Ja, hebben jullie gezellig koffie gedronken?
Ja.
Ja? Oké. Gaat u met mij mee?
Ach, weg mag wel, ja.
Oké. Is goed. Nou, bedankt voor de koffie.
Ja, graag gedaan. Ja, is goed, hè? Dag.
Dag. En dat mooie gebouw daar?
Wat is dat?
Kent u dat?
Ik ken hier, want ik kom hier nou nooit meer. Wat is dat grote witte gebouw dan?
Dat is Vissershaven.
Zitten wij daar?
Ja.
Ik moet alle loftrompetten afsteken voor de verpleging. Die is magnifiek. Dat is heel belangrijk, toch zeker op deze leeftijd. Want het belangrijkste is dat je je veilig kunt voelen.
That was just a really high-level view of how it works. And obviously it's more complicated than that. There's a lot of training that goes on to be able to kind of maintain that kind of freedom levels. Takes real kind of cultural direction and aspiration from the top of the organisation down. But it's been shown to have really significant effects on people's quality, their own perceived quality of life, their mental health. The number of challenging behaviours that you often see or can see in people with types of dementia has been reduced. The amount of medication that is being given to people for levels of anxiety has reduced. So this is just really a sort of a quick snapshot, quick flavour of the kind of things that are going on that show us that actually, these things are about relationships. They're about developing relationships with people and about trusting people, but using technology in a way that actually, technology actually is sort of unimportant in a way. It's one small thing on a wrist, but the freedom that it allows is immense. This is another Dutch product actually, and this is talking about bringing people, connecting to people to the present in the present. It uses music. There's no, everyone probably knows if they're involved in any kind of work to do with memory loss or cognitive decline, is that music is an amazing bridge to bringing back memories. And this is just a really interesting way of using music to reach out to not just older people or those with dementia, but with lots of other cognitive or health issues.
Ja, moet ik even voelen aan dat ei. Moet ik er uw hand daarop leggen? Hier, op dat.
Of water. Het is een piano.
Hey, dat is gek. Hoe kan dat nou? En als die zo is... Ga maar kijken hoor. En dan
lekker.
Wel.
Oh, lekker.
Ja.
Wat een leuk vogeltje heb jij.
Oeh! Voorzichtig, hè, die oor.
Ja.
Gaan we samen kijken.
Ja. Mooie viola.
Mooie violen, hè?
Je maakt op een hele bijzondere manier contact met elkaar. Het was voor mij al heel bijzonder. Ik kan me voorstellen dat het voor de bewoonster ook heel bijzonder is. Wij denken daarbij na, maar zij doen en ervaren.
Nee, anders.
The reactions when they use this for the first time is quite extraordinary. And again, people who haven't spoken for sometimes years, people who there's been terrible difficulties in finding some form of communication where you're both communicating the same thing. This seems to overcome that. So yeah, lots of different sounds, as it says. It's expensive. You can buy it, or you can lease it for 24 or 36 months, which a lot of places like to release it. But the evidence of what it does seems to be really robust. So that's Cradle. This is a funny little spoof video. It's American, but I think we can kind of go with it. Very light-hearted kind of look at how technology can or can't be useful. But so I really wanted to demonstrate or show you a few things that are out there of the many, amazing products and services. I have a database, as I said, of products and services from around the world, more than 1,600 of them. Some of them are doing amazing things, but it's all about how they're used, how they're applied, the environment. That there's the right strategy, there's the right vision set by the organisation, if it's at an organisational level. But yeah, I'm interested. So, friend or foe, what did you think about those things?